Yes, well, I was going to read this thing, and one of the lovely things about the paper, and one of the lovely things about initiatives like that, is you can publish things that don't really work anywhere else, but that you really, really love. And this is one of a series of, I do a lot of reading just for fun, and one of the things that I read was this particular text. Henry Mayhew in 1861, I don't know if any of you know this, he went round London and he interviewed people, and he interviewed prostitutes, and he interviewed pickpockets, and he interviewed people who did jobs that don't exist anymore. Like, there was a mountain of ash in the middle of London from all the fires, the domestic fires, and there were people who raked through it and looked for things, and that's how they made their living. So he interviewed all these people, and he just published the interviews word for word. And I read this, and it was so beautiful, and it was so interesting, and it was so contemporary. I wanted to rewrite it in contemporary language. I also read Samuel Pepys and things like that, and Slash's autobiography, obviously, and rewrote all these great important documents. Slash's autobiography is really touching, it's really beautiful, and Slash himself not so much, but you know, the book is a ghost written by someone with a really poetic soul, so I rewrote all these things. He tells this story about his crack addicted stepfather, who his mum didn't know that he had a crack problem, and they used to get up in the middle of the night and take Slash for walks around LA, and they used to steal things from houses that weren't locked. The two of them would go in and steal things, and anyway. So I rewrote these things in contemporary language as first-person accounts, because I think one of the things about Mayhew is he's quite hard to read, and Samuel Pepys is quite hard to read. There's a really beautiful bit about Samuel Pepys wishing he had a kid, and he didn't have a kid, and he's at a Christmas Eve Mass, and he's wishing, he's saying, you know, this time last year I thought we would have a kid, and my wife's not that well, and I felt so sad, and you know, that just reaches out through the ages. But anyway, so this is first person. And I often think of this character when I'm walking through Glasgow, or it's, you know, you see somebody sitting on the street. I live in the West End, and there's a guy who always sits outside Bank of Scotland, and he's basically doing one of these cons, because this is an interview with a con man in 1861 in London. My knees still burn at night. They sort of tingle under the kneecaps. They burn. It comes when I'm tired, or I'm trying to get to sleep, or if I'm due a fever. It's the first sign a fever's coming, like my knees are warning me, bad times are coming. It's the Mendacity Society. They got me a whole month in Brixton, 14 hours a day on the treadmill, and not even the Sabbath off. Grinding, grinding, grinding away at my knees. Corn it was we were grinding, with our knees. It's 3 strikes, the mendacity. I've done more than 3, actually. I've been doing scams all my life, one way or another. It's hard to remember them all, really, but one I've done, the Spanish scam. Well, we go about in the uniform, and we say we've just been in Spain under General Evans. It was a good living for a while, for a long while. Made a good living at that. But others copped on then, and suddenly the whole of London was full of men wearing bits of uniforms and claiming to be one of Evans' men. I mean, a year after the war, every second beggar on the Strand had been in Spain. I was one of the first to pull that con, actually. I was about in uniform so much that I actually met someone who had been in Spain under Evans, and that was a shame, really, because no one gave them anything. They weren't convincing. No arms, because they were suspicious now of them, because there were so many of us, and some of them were missing limbs and so on. Not from the war, but you can see, you know, what happened then. So they stopped giving for that, so that was a shame. I've done the limp, I've done the cripple, I've done them. You need a story for how it happened. Machines or something falling on you. It's best if you were young when it happened, or it was recent, you know. And the shivering scam. Go out in the cold and look freezing. I've done the ballad singing. I've done the shipwreck survivor. The street artist chalking on walls, head of Christ, and then sit in front of it with your hat on the ground. I've done the reduced tradesman. If only my family can get back to Nottingham. You have to hire the kids, and that's quite complicated. They can give you away if they get annoyed. He's not my dad, lady. I've done every dodge, even the ones that I wasn't right for. And I made money doing them, because you don't have to be good or right for it, you just have to really mean it. And I mean it. It's in the eyes. They see your body a bit, but they look in your eyes to see if it's true. Mendacity. Since the Mendacity Society started, they've ruined my game. It's not like the olden days, the golden days, the days of the Cadgers Club. After my month in Brixton, when I got out, the club had been disbanded. It was abrupt. I didn't even get a lump sum payment. After all my contributions, all those payouts for others that I chipped in for, and then I get out and I get nothing. The Cadgers Club. What a brilliant idea. Great crowd, characters, famous. We were famous. Every Wednesday evening we met at the Coach Baker's Arms in Rose Street. The little warm room at the back, there, every Wednesday. We had a secretary, we had a treasurer, we even had an under-secretary. I mean, it was formal, we had procedure. And if you did time, all the members chipped in and you got that. So you were coming out to something, you know, not just out the gates. Because you'd get sick inside, like me with my knees and jail fever. That'll kill you. Dangerous. You come out ill oftentimes. And we paid sick money into another fund. So if you were a member, you got a payout if you fell ill. It was a good system. Just because, you know, you don't know the day, do you? At the height of it, we were up to 45 members of the Cadgers Club. And a payout was a right good chunk of money then. What that means, you see, is that you're making a living. It's dignity, isn't it? You're not desperate all the time. You're not out with a fever doing the Spanish scam or shivering around when you're actually shivering. That's, I mean, you could die out working if you're ill, you know? You've seen them, dead on the curb, coins in a hat, and they're dead. But we were strict about procedure. You had to attend every Wednesday and you had to behave. And there was no bad language at the Cadgers Club. We got fined for swearing. Penny for the first offence, 2 for the second offence, 3rd time, and they put you out of the room. And there were hardly any fines because we were all so well behaved among ourselves. You could get fined for other things, silly things. If you didn't sing a song when the committee demanded it, they'd fine you. That was another rule. And that rule applied to all the visitors as well. The visitors. We had a lot of visitors. Toffs, nosy people. They heard about the Cadgers Club and they wanted a sneaky peek. I don't know why they were there. They weren't getting any secrets out of us. We never talked about the actual work. But we let them all come in and see the club. We were quite proud, I suppose. And that's where we made them chip in. Everyone put in a tiny amount. Tiny, but it added up. And every 13 weeks we'd split the pot amongst us, which was great because you could take that week off, have a break, a holiday sort of. Savings. If you missed 5 meetings, you'd get disbarred, and not many got disbarred. So I got out of Brixton with my knees burning, and they were disbanded. And while I was in, and I got nothing, and I needed it because I couldn't walk. It was obvious. The landlord of the coachmakers, he stole our pot, didn't he? And then he wouldn't let us back in, and we can't do anything. What can we do? It's embarrassing. We're scammers, cadgers, we're not heavies, what can we do? And my knees, the Mendacity Society, they've got a cheek anyway. It wasn't mendacity, I wasn't lying, I meant it all. Thank you.